Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Sarah Milken, and this is the Flexible Neurotic Podcast. Today is my second episode in person on film with an amazing guest. She's my new bestie. We've already been sweating together in the studio. She's a best-selling author, a huge podcaster. Her podcast is called Habits and Hustle. I mean, who doesn't need new habits and some hustling in midlife? And I'm so excited to talk about her book and getting bold in midlife. This is it. Bigger, better, bolder, live the life you want, not the life you get. You can say that again. Welcome, Jen Cohen.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here.
And I'm excited to be here. The first thing, I have a question for you. I didn't know you were a doctor.
Yes.
What kind of doctor are you?
PhD doctor.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know. Well,
I know, all the years of school to be a stay-at-home mom for 16 years.
Well, listen,
It paid off.
It paid off. There's no better job than that. I mean,
better job.
There's no better job. I wish I had the patience. I don't, but
I didn't think I did either.
Really?
Yeah. Because I grew up in a house with two working parents. And
Yeah.
My mom was a CEO, and, you know, work was a very big part of her life and her
Right.
identity. And I just always thought that that's what I was going to do too. And after I got my PhD and I was teaching in the Graduate School of Education, I had my first kid and I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to work. I just want to be here.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what? Like, I don't get it. Like, you just went to an Ivy League school and got a PhD and now you're going to be a stay-at-home mom. And there was kind of a lot of judgment in that, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. There's judgment on both sides though, right?
I know, you can't win.
You can't win. So like I get, I always feel guilty because I work so much that I try not to miss anything. But that fact that I'm not picking up my kids every day from school, or I have help to do that, I always feel guilty. I always feel that I could be doing more. I should be doing more. I don't think you can win either way. I'll tell you this though, when I'm with my kids on the weekends full time, I will tell you, it's a harder job than
so
working.
Hard. Oh my God.
It's brutal.
Because it's like a hamster wheel and it just keeps going and going and going.
It's exhausting.
And boring sometimes.
Well, that to me, it's very, because it's the same things over and over again. And so I look forward to Monday because it's much easier because I'm used to that. I'm used to that type of hecticness.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Because you control that schedule. It's not like your son's soccer game and then this one's this and this one's birthday party. Your work is more the way you work as an entrepreneur and a writer and a podcaster, it kind of is more in your control, I think.
It is. And also, if I was being honest, I think people who are now, when they become entrepreneurs and when they are working and they're doing the grind, it's also things that you feel productive doing, right? And so therefore, it's about your stuff, your challenge. And when you have to pivot to like driving from soccer to soccer game to dance class, and it's things that aren't as you think as like mind stimulating. Yeah, as stimulating, it's very hard to do both. Like that's something I really admire the women, especially people like you, who have had they've had a career or a big education and they still choose to do that and then do it well, because your kids know. Like that's where I always feel. I feel like, are my kids going to hate me? Are my kids going to feel like I was not there, that they're lacking because I was basically working? And are they going to see it as that was more important to me? I hope not.
Look, I always tell people who ask me that because they know that I come from a house where my mom had a full-time career. And I say, like, look, if you know my brother and me, we're very high functioning, well-rounded, normal people. And we had a working mother. And my mom never picked us up from school.
Oh,
ever.
Oh, okay. Well,
because she had her career. That was in the Valley. We lived in Santa Monica. And how was she going to get from a full-time job in the Valley to come pick us up after school?
You're right. It's logistics.
Yeah, it's logistics. And it was a different model then. It was sort of like you kind of either worked or you didn't. I think your model is harder because when you're sometimes working from home, and I know right now you're recording your podcast out of a home studio, your kids are there more and they see you and you're not necessarily paying attention to them, but you're doing work.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I never saw her from 9 to 5.
So exactly. So that to me is a whole other ball of wax, right? Because if you actually are someone who works a 9 to 5 job and you're not visible, I think it's easier.
It's easier.
Right? Because your kids don't feel that
100%.
you're choosing work over them, number one. And number two.
And you're not like, wait.
100%. And on top of that, I mean, there's a lot that goes around with that. Like, I want to be around and available to work from my home. However, that's for me, so I can see what's going on. And I think I fool myself.
Totally.
I lie to myself.
Yes,
I'm like, oh,
yes,
I'll know what's going
yes.
on. Or like, because they see me, then they'll know I'm around. But it's actually the opposite. But I was going to say, my mom worked as well. You know, if I were to be honest with you, how my mentality and maybe I am lying to myself, but I think a lot of people who work full time or have like a big career, they have to lie to themselves and think that, well, you know what? My kids watching me be productive and doing something and working hard and showing up every day, blah, blah, blah. That's really good for their brains to see. That's really good for them to see. Like, oh, their mom is accomplishing that. Their mom is doing this. So that's how I've kind of reframed it in my brain. You know what I mean?
I can speak to both sides of that.
Yeah.
Because I would say 75% of who I am, which is a pretty big statement.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Is because my mom was my mom.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
And I give her that credit. She has a big personality, she's a big force. She's well educated. She ran a company.
Which company?
Well, she runs the largest nonprofit in the country for special needs kids.
Oh, wow.
And she started it with 5 kids, and then it turned into this whole crazy thing.
5 kids.
Yeah.
Jeez.
In 1975.
Wow.
So, you know, I watched the evolution of this start from so small to becoming so big and impacting so many families and kids with special needs. But so much of watching that is part of who I am.
Yeah.
That
totally.
I would never trade that for the world. But having said that, I think there's also this idea of living as a woman in seasons. And I didn't think about it at the time, but now looking back at it, like retrospectively, I feel like for me, I did my seasons. It was like I did the kind of nerdy schoolwork, check all my benchmark performance things, degrees, all of that. Did the stay-at-home mom. I did a lot of like board work, philanthropic stuff while I was being a mom. And like now I'm in my next season, and it's the me fucking season.
Yeah,
you know? I have my son who's at college, my 17-year-old daughter who does not want to be micromanaged. She just wants to micromanage me.
Right. Exactly.
Hence all the texts I was getting right when we started.
I know, yeah.
She needs this, and this, but don't ask her to do anything. So I think that for me, it's been kind of the best of both worlds, but the grass is always greener.
Exactly. The grass is always greener until you see the water bill. But I will say too, like having a work or job or whatever, that's not the only way people can show productivity and show work ethic, right? Like you were saying, if you are someone who is giving back and charitable and philanthropic and doing things for a purpose and a cause, like this is the truth. For me anyway, like I was on a podcast very recently and they said to me, you know, what do you want for your kids? You know, do you want them just to be happy? And I'm like, no, I don't want.
I saw that.
You saw this?
I saw that.
Because it's the truth. I don't want my kids just to be happy. Happy doesn't mean anything. Like I believe you have to have everybody. You have to have purpose. You have to be productive. You gotta stand for something and do something bigger than just like day to day. You know, I'm just gonna live and try to be this arbitrary word of happiness. Happiness comes from being productive and showing up and having a goal and achieving that goal. Like that's how you build confidence. That's how you build self-esteem. How do you build it otherwise? And if a parent just hands it to you or doesn't role model that and show that to you, how are you supposed to learn? Especially in a place now, in in a society and a culture that we're so prone to social media, and that's the influence that your children, like that's what your children are watching.
TikTok culture, and like scary,
right? That if that's their role model, then we're in a really big crisis, and we are. And so to me, as long as you do something and model behavior that is beyond just, showing up and scrolling on Instagram, you're like winning the game.
Yeah, and look, I have a lot of friends who are like pickleball masters and
great.
mahjong, all these things, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so bad at all of those things. But I'm kind of jealous. I'm like, God, I kind of wish I could do that at that level.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's time and it's practice, and everyone has different priorities at different times. But I just feel like anything that makes you feel like you want to get up in the morning and work for something, whether it's like in your home, for yourself. Some people become like meditation masters. We were talking about
exactly.
How you and I are probably the worst meditators on the planet, but we like to talk about it.
Oh, this is what it is. I'm super curious about everything and anything that is wellness based.
The woo-woo. I love woo-woo.
But woo-woo, I'm curious about it, and and I will dabble to see if it's for me. But the truth is, I'm much more hard factual, like what I can actually that's how my brain works. I'm curious about all the woo-woo things, but I don't partake in them. I've tried, I've attempted.
What has been your favorite so far?
The only thing that I would say that I can say with confidence that I like and will do from time to time is sound bath. I love sound baths. That to me, I think that to me is one of my favorites. But I will be honest with you. I've tried meditation 400 times. Doesn't work for me. Yeah, it doesn't work. Yoga for me is not something that I look at the clock the whole time. Even like spinning, I look at the clock the whole time. Like my brain is not.
We're going to talk about your workout, honey.
Yeah, well,
that's serious.
Well, that's the way. That is my meditation. Working out at a high intensity level is the only thing that calms my nervous system and calms my brain. So the kind of like the oxymoron is like I have to stress my body out to such a level that would actually fatigue my brain enough
and your body
and my body that I can like be a little zen.
I mean, I see your Instagram and like I call it, I sort of make fun of it and call it the dumb and necessary weight.
I love that.
Because I'll be honest, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my God, I worked out and I have fucking endorphins. I'm like, I fucking hate this.
You hate it.
I'm doing this. I have to do this. My bones, my muscles, my fucking brain, all of the things, right? Check, check, check. But I don't crave it.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions.
Yes.
Have you created it are you doing it to the point where it's become now part of your ritual and your daily habits?
Oh, 100%.
So you do it how often a week will you say that you're actually exercising?
I do weights twice a week.
Okay.
I do Pilates twice a week.
Okay.
And I do the treadmill with a 10-pound weighted vest at least 4 times a week in addition to those things.
That's amazing. So how long are you on the treadmill for?
30 to 45 minutes.
That's amazing. At what speed?
I go pretty slow. I go like 3-5 with a 10 to 12 incline with the 10-pound vest.
That's great though.
Yeah.
So you're doing it a lot, and it's just not your vibe.
But it's not my vibe. But as long as if I start going high intensity, like a spinning or something like that, my brain's like, get me the fuck out of here. Stop doing this. I hate this. Why are you doing this?
Right. So
it's like sabotage. It's like telling me not to eat sugar. As soon as you tell me that, it's like, no.
Absolutely.
I can't do it.
You know what's interesting?
It has to be moderate.
Well, that actually moderate is better than high intensity, especially at our age, at our place, because your adrenals, your cortisol is so spiked, right? And the truth is, if to get the benefits, you don't have to be going crazy all the time. Like
but you're like pushing heavy shit. You're pulling heavy shit.
I am, because this is like, for me, that's what works for me. So everyone says to me all the time, like, what would you say is the best exercise to do? What's the best thing to do? Whatever you're actually going to do.
100%.
Right? Like if I say run 10 miles a day and you hate running, well, if you're not going to do it, then it won't work for you.
I know. My friend yesterday told me she just started this whole new sort of like lifestyle food thing, and how she hates drinking greens and she hates drinking, you know, this and that. And I go, then don't do those things.
Yeah.
Because you're going to bag the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Because you don't like doing those two things.
So this is the problem with the fitness and the health and the wellness industry. There is so much, and every day something else will come. Someone will come up with another gimmick or thing that we should do that will be the panacea for living longer, to being healthier, to looking better. And the truth of the matter is, what works for you does not work for me. And the more we just kind of don't realize that we're not all the same. You know, you do some trial and error, but when you find something that works for you, keep on doing that.
Yeah, and there's no magic wand. And look,
there's no
all
magic
of us
wand.
are looking in some secret way to be rescued from having to do the work. The work sucks. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to eat well, take supplements, drink bottles and bottles of water, get on the treadmill, do the weights. Like it's so many things.
It is. And then we put so much pressure on ourselves to do all of it, where then we end up having this, we end up being very hard on ourselves and beating ourselves up that we're not basically living up to what we should be doing. Like, the truth of the matter is, if you do a few of these things, then that should be what you do, and then move on with your day. You shouldn't make it, like, this is the problem with social media, is that if you are somebody who's spending too much time on there, and then you're comparing yourself to what Joe Blow is doing, or Becky, or whoever else, it will never be enough. Nothing will ever be enough. And the truth is, genetics plays a big part in this. And the other part of this is, even what you're seeing and looking at, it's not actually even working for them. They're either getting paid to do it, or they're modifying something. They could be doing, like, you never know what goes on behind the scenes. And so, like I said, like, at the end of the day, it's the basics that work, right? Like, yeah, should we all be more hydrated? Yes. Should you drink more water? Yes. Should you eat clean and maybe shop the perimeter of the grocery store? Probably, right? Don't eat processed food. Move your body. Actually, the best form of exercise is walking. So you walking on that treadmill is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and the only reason everyone's like, walk outside, nature, sunlight. I'm like, okay, yeah, but I'm not doing that. The reason I'm not doing that is because when I'm walking somewhere, in my mind, I'm like, fuck, I have to walk back. I have to walk back.
Yes.
How long is it going to take me to walk back?
Right.
So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not getting the benefits of the sunlight and nature, which I can do later, but I'm on my treadmill. I know that I'm going to be done with this and I don't have to walk home.
Well,
but that's what works for
100%.
me.
So psychologically, that is what works for you.
Yes.
See, for me, I love the fact that I always have to have a destination to where I'm walking, or else I feel like I'm just walking aimlessly. So I have this rule that I will not drive anywhere that's 2 miles or under.
Oh, wow.
No matter what. It could be a dinner, it could be a meeting, it could be the gym, it could be anything. So to me, I create these I create these scenarios and give myself these rules, so to speak, to kind of keep me in line. So it's
like habit stacking.
It is habit stacking, because left to my own devices and not creating these like boundaries for myself, I will eat the bonbons. I will not work out. I will eat everything in sight, and I will just be a lazy like blob. So I've created these things. So, like, for an example, I will not let myself leave my bed unless I drink 32 ounces of water.
Okay, I'm not at 32. I might be at 12 to 16.
I might be at 26, actually. Let me say. The point is, I'm not by the time the morning is over and I have not yet started my workout, I have to drink 32 ounces of water with lemon.
Wow.
Because that's the greatest detoxifier. So that's how I get my water in. And then I'll drink water when I'm working out, because I know after that it's done.
Do you intermittent fast too?
No, I think intermittent fasting is, I think it's ridiculous.
I can't. Like, every time I do it, I like hit a wall.
First of all, there's been a ton of research talking about the fact that for women and hormones and all the things, it's not the greatest thing. I know you can talk to 10 people and get 10 different opinions.
So many.
Right? And someone who could be watching this and says, what the hell is she talking about? Like, about autophagy and all these other things, that all the benefits. But at the end of the day, it is restricted food intake. That's what it really is. And they've done a bunch of studies and a bunch of different tests on people who just restricted their eating, not in terms of like timing, but just ate less, and then also the intermittent fasting diet, and the results were almost exactly the same. And so, does it work for men more so than women? I've seen it. I've seen it to happen because men are usually not as hung up with food, with calories, with all the
Thinking about it.
all the kookiness and emotional things that food represents to women. So it actually ends up backfiring a lot for women. And like I said, also with actual the physiology, like the hormones and physiology of it, it's not like, again, not everything should be painted with the same brush. What works for you doesn't necessarily work for me or for that guy or for this guy.
I think also certain things like that give people structure. And I think a lot of people are seeking structure or some kind of boundaries around what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you
like my water, like
exactly,
my
you've given
yeah.
yourself those boundaries to adhere to. So intermittent fasting and saying, okay, I'm only going to eat from this hour to this hour gives you like a structure that is kind of self-imposed.
So that's what exactly it. So exactly. So in my opinion, when does intermittent fasting work? It works when you're somebody who needs that structure 100%. In your life. And when that's the case, then do it for that reason and know that to be that. But at the end of the day, that doesn't work for everybody. And, you know, I feel that with women and a lot of the hangups they have with food and with the hormones, it could be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, everyone has like a whole different reaction to all of it.
And it's such a hot topic, like
so hot. I'm sure you've done 8 million episodes.
I've done so many podcasts with like the leading expert in intermittent fasting and with doctors and with whoever's, and they have a ton of science backing why it works, how it works. But you know what, like science and actual real tangible humans is different.
It is different.
And psychology is not science. And so if your psychology doesn't match the person who could be okay with eating only at a certain fixed window.
Yeah, I'm not that person.
I'm not that person.
If you tell me like you're not allowed to eat sugar and you're not allowed to eat gluten and you're not allowed to eat dairy, all my red flags go up.
And you end up eating, like me, the second you say that,
I'm eating a whole, me too.
I'll eat double.
Me too.
Like, it's clockwork.
Like I can't eat pasta. Well, I'm going to eat pasta for 3 nights in a row if you tell me I'm not allowed to eat pasta.
And now you're going to think about pasta until like you eat. That's what happens
totally.
To me. I mean, so that's the whole thing of deprivation. So for me as well. So like I said, I don't do it. I don't believe in it for myself. I have seen great results for men. Like I said, but it's those men are the ones who are not fixated and crazy with food. They never had any eating disorders. They never had any like situations that were like food based. So that's why also it's been like a winner for them too.
On this topic of habit stacking and making good choices for yourself, going back to when you started your whole journey and going to your TED Talk.
Oh, yes.
I want you to tell us about your TED Talk. I watched it.
Oh, you did?
Yes, of course. I do my fucking homework.
Good for you. Look at you. I love it, doctor.
Yes, and I read your book. Do you want to see all my notes?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, all my written notes.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you.
Okay, wait. Let me get out the title. The Secret to Anything You Want.
Oh, that's about my TED Talk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I couldn't memorize that.
Yeah, you have to look at the paper.
I was like, that's a midlife brain.
Yeah, it is.
The secret to getting anything you want. I want everything in midlife. Tell me how to get it.
Well, so my entire message, I guess, or my platform is getting people to chase what they want, not just take what they get. This is
midlife.
Yeah.
If we just let everything ride and waited for someone to save us or rescue us, we'd be like this.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I feel like you have to learn the skills before midlife.
Yeah, 100%.
To help you when
But a
you get
lot
to
of my
midlife.
listeners, including myself, are in midlife, and maybe we haven't done it yet. So you're going to tell us
I'm
how
going
we're
to
going
tell
to
you
get
right
that.
now. I'm going to tell you right now. I think that this is what I think a lot of times happens. People think it's too late for them to make a change. It's too late to live the life they want, or to get that body they want, or to date or remarry that person that they want. We like kind of count ourselves out before even making that attempt. And that's really sad to me, because if you really want to know the truth, most people don't even make one attempt at getting what they want. Almost nobody makes two. So if you're somebody who's even putting yourself out there and making that attempt, just on sheer volume, it can happen for you. And I always go with the idea of asking this question to myself, like, why not me? Can I be brave for 10 seconds and try something? And what is the worst that can happen? Because really, where you are now, if something doesn't work out for you, you're no better, worse off than you were yesterday or an hour before. So why self-reject? There's so much self-rejection out there. Why should you reject yourself before even trying? And that is really why I wrote the book and I did that talk, is because we emphasize and put too much value on the wrong things. You know, like, I believe it's more important to be bold than to be intelligent, because it's the bold people who are impulsive sometimes and try things and, you know, they shoot and then aim, can actually get way further along the success train than those other people who overthink and create charts and tell themselves all the reasons why something won't work versus telling themselves all the reasons why something will work. It's a switch, right? And it's about like reframing how you talk to yourself and how you think about yourself. I've been doing it for so long that like my brain, I guess the neuroplasticity in my brain has now shifted, where I don't think anything is impossible. I don't think, well, now I'm getting older, so then I can't be fit, or like now I'm old, so I won't be attractive anymore. Like, you can still be attractive and be older, right? Like, that's not a death sentence. You're still a human being that has you're still the same person that you were 10 years ago or 20 years ago. You can be a better version of yourself if you actually try.
Were you always like that though? Or were you like the idea in your book where you talk about how boldness is something that you're not born with, but you develop it like a muscle?
Yeah, exactly what, yeah. So that's what I was saying, is that like people think they're either born bold or they're not, and that's simply not the case. Like, boldness is a skill. If you want to learn Spanish and get really great at Spanish, you're not going to go to one lesson. You're going to take a class, and you're going to be rusty at the beginning, but you'll get better, and then you'll get even better, and you'll get 1% better until one day, and you'll be like, wow, I can speak Spanish. If you want to get fit at the gym, you don't just go to the gym one time, right? You've got to make things a habit. You got to practice. Exactly.
The day after day of the dumb ways.
Day after day.
Yeah.
And the thing when it comes to like physical fitness and aging, that's really where people start, for women, that's where I see people start doubting themselves, right? They're like, well, I'm old now, I can't build muscle, or I'm old now, I can't change my career. I'm too old now, I might as well just stay in this shitty relationship, because who's going to want me? Like, we talk ourselves out of even doing anything that we actually want to do. We end up lying to ourselves. We say to ourselves, oh, no, this relationship is good. Yeah, this is fine. Like, look at Mary and Bob.
It's good enough.
Or we say it's good enough, or we say we can't do any better because we've been doing it for so long that, you know, there's nothing better out there for me. So we lie to ourselves and then distract ourselves with activities so we don't focus on the things that really bother us. And we say it's good enough, you know. If we compare yourself to that relationship, well, mine looks better than that one, so I'll stay here. Or that job, we play such crazy mind games with ourselves versus like being honest and having an honest conversation with yourself and changing your self-talk to like, I can, I will, I'm going to, and then
fake it to make it.
Right, fake it to make it. And it is true.
Yeah.
But also, if you set a goal for yourself, even the smallest goal, and you accomplish that goal, that builds self-confidence.
The small wins.
Yeah, it's small wins.
That's what I say. I'm like, if you don't want to do the weights and you don't want to do this, buy the weighted vest. It's not in place of weights, but it's a baby step. So a lot of women are like, oh my God, I got the weighted vest.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's just that small step. And then maybe in 2 months, it'll be the dumb weights.
By the way, those dumb weights and the dumb that dumb vest or that vest is just as good. You're adding resistance to what you're doing. Years ago, I don't know, like you probably don't know this, but one of my first company I ever built was called No Gym Required.
Oh, wait, I did read that.
You did?
Yeah.
And
it was like an app?
Well, no. Well, that was another company.
Oh, that was another
That was
one.
Hot 5, which was a fitness app.
Okay.
And then Weight Watchers bought that like years ago. But the first thing I ever did, and talk about like having no clue what you're doing and how naivety is a strength. Because what do I know? I knew nothing about, a company or running a company or having a product. But I knew that, like to your point, I had these this shoe company that had an interchangeable weighted midsole. Mm-hmm. And because you had weight in your shoe, it added 25% more, you burnt 25% more calories while wearing them because you added resistance.
That's so funny.
Right, to your walk. And so the weighted vest reminds me so much of those weighted shoes because it's the same concept. So if you don't like doing something, makeshift and basically reverse engineer. Okay, I need to do weight bearing exercises.
Everything in my life I have to reverse engineer, or I just can't do it.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know why. My husband always laughs. He's like, oh, you have he'll go. Last time he goes, oh, maybe we should plan a trip because then you'll clean out your closet. That's like.
Exactly.
It's like if something has to happen, I'll think of 16 other things that I have to do first.
100%. There's a name for that, by the way.
What is it?
Oh,
I need it. I need a diagnosis.
That's such a great. Okay. Oh my gosh.
It's not procrastination.
It's not procrastination. It's actually it's in my book. Actually, I talk about this. Yes, because I talk about sometimes what we need to do is create a reason or an environment or a thing to make us do the things that we need to do. So for an example,
I've mastered that.
No, me too. But an example would be if you're working out, let's say with the working out, then put a yoga mat in your kitchen. So every time you walk by your kitchen, you see that yoga mat, and then it's you don't have an excuse because it's there.
I know. I leave my supplements in the middle of the counter, and my husband's OCD. He's like, why the fuck is your shit all over the counter? I'm like, because if I don't see it, I'm not taking it.
Yeah, you won't do it.
And if I put it in the pretty drawer in the container, it's not making it into my body.
Right. It's not visible. Or to the point of what you're saying about the job or the vacation or whatever. It's that's the catalyst that you need to actually do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah, I'm I have 15 minutes to pack for a trip tomorrow, so let me clean out my closet and throw all the bags of clothes downstairs for my husband to gather and put into the garage. He's like, how is this a good time? I'm like, I don't know, but it's somehow working for my brain right now.
See, that's the thing. See, for me, that's how my brain works.
Weird.
Too. And that's why everyone works differently. I would need that catalyst too. I would never, by the way, I've been trying to clean out my closet for 2.5 years.
It's brutal.
I keep on procrastinating.
Plan a trip.
I know. I'm going to plan my trip. That's when I'm going to have to do that. And I've done that before where I've gotten little pieces of my closet fixed because I was going somewhere.
Yeah, and you're looking for your jeans and you're like, why do I have 75 pairs of fucking jeans and I only want the 3 that I want?
100%.
So I was like, oh, I'll start cleaning out the jeans right now. And then I start trying on all of them and he's like, Sarah, you need to finish.
And 100%. And by the way, we don't even need the stuff that we have. That happens to me. I'm also afraid that if I throw away something or give it away, my
husband calls me a hoarder.
I am a hoarder too. Mm-hmm. Oh God, me too.
Oh my God.
I'm so nervous that the second that I
know. I gave away all my Fendi baguettes, those little bags.
Oh yeah, and now you want it.
Now I want them.
I know. Who'd you give them to?
Probably I don't even know.
You could have given one to me.
I know,
we're friends
but
yet.
we're like, I know,
Yeah.
now we're friends.
Now we're friends.
For
Okay,
sure.
I'll get
No,
one
but that was like years ago when they went back out of
I
style,
know.
but now they're back in style. So now I'm like, I have all these heels that I used to wear to all these board meetings, and I'm like, they're just collecting dust, but they're so pretty, and I paid so much money for those.
Totally.
My husband would never have that shit in his closet.
Oh.
We don't even share a closet.
Oh, that's so funny.
Because when we moved, he was like, no fucking way. I'm never doing that again. I did that for like 18 years and we're done.
I think women are way worse with that than men, though. Men wear like the same shirt and pants, and they're happy with that.
He's like, I haven't worn this in 3 months. Giveaway pile. I'm like, I haven't worn this in 13 years.
I was going to say 30 years for me, something.
Exactly.
Because I know that things come back in fashion.
I know, it's hard.
And I'm nervous.
I know.
So then I get.
Thankfully, I haven't gone out of style for him, but you never know, right?
It's only been, what, 50 years?
Like 50. No, 28.
That's a
I know.
long
It's a long time. I know. That's like a lot of hairstyles, a lot of body shapes and sizes. It's a lot.
Wow, that is amazing.
And now we're like, we went from like 13 years old to like Rogaine and retainers at nighttime in midlife.
You started off with retainers for different
100%,
reasons.
yes.
And now you have
puberty retainers and midlife retainers.
That is insane.
I know.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So, but by the way, did you never date you never broke up with him and then dated someone else for 5 months?
I broke up with him in 9th grade.
That doesn't count.
Okay. Then I had another boyfriend through high school.
For how many years?
4.
Okay.
Then I went my first year of college. That story.
Okay.
And then my husband and I have been together since the summer before sophomore year of college, and we've never broken up. And it's like 28 years of being together and 22 years of marriage, maybe.
Wow.
I know.
And when you had that boyfriend in the 9th grade for 4 years, did he have a girlfriend?
What do you mean?
Like when you...
He's married now. What?
No, not that. No, back then.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, when you had your boyfriend.
Oh, no.
Yeah, now
no, he had a boyfriend.
I guess some people
He had a boyfriend. He had a girlfriend, I'd say junior and senior year, but not the rest, not freshman.
So he
and
had like
sophomore
some
year.
experience.
But it was funny with him because and we didn't go to school together freshman year of college.
I thought you both went to
We
Penn.
both went to Penn, but I got into Penn as a freshman and decided at the last minute not to go because of the boyfriend.
Really?
Because he had stayed in LA for me.
So what happened?
So I went to UCLA.
Okay.
And then I ended up breaking up with my boyfriend. And then I reapplied to Penn, and I was like, okay, if I get in again, I'll go. If I don't, I'll just stay at UCLA. And I got in again. And my husband and I tell this story very differently.
Right.
He found out I was coming, and he made sure that we were a couple before I got there.
Really?
Yes. So I went to Penn with a boyfriend.
God, this is unbelievable. So you didn't have a boyfriend for for your college years. That was different.
I know.
Oh, wow. God bless you. See, part of ADD a lot of times is like you get bored fast, and I mean, you obviously don't have ADD then.
I have adult onset ADD, different kind of ADD.
Were you not? You didn't have that?
I'm not an ADD. Definitely my son is for sure ADD, but my husband and I, no. I'm only ADD when I feel like I have adult onset ADD. Like I'm 48, almost 49 years old. I don't have to fucking do that ADD.
Oh, right. So that's
different
really,
ADD.
Not ADD
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call that ADD.
It's more
like I don't give a shit anymore.
Exactly. But I have the ability to focus when I need to if I want to.
Yeah, then that's not even ADD.
Yeah, and my husband is like a hyper-focused freak attack.
Yeah.
Like he hyper-focuses on golf, like his hobbies, like piano, all of these crazy things.
See, wow. So he's doing piano now?
Oh yeah, he's been doing his midlife hobby started with piano, and he's like, you're always so annoyed that I'm playing the piano out loud. So I made him buy a piano that was silent. So we have 2 pianos, a real piano and a silent piano with like headsets.
Get out.
I swear, because I was like, I can't fucking listen to it. And he's like, most wives would be so happy if their husbands played the piano. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe Liberace's husband, maybe, or
And I was like, it's great that it's not porn, women, and cars. That's great. But the piano's annoying, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think drums would be worse, actually.
Yeah,
Drums would
probably.
be way worse.
But he's gotten really good at it. I have to give him credit. And he's not going to be in like an old age home. I'm going to be in an old age home because I don't have those kind of hobbies.
Well, I was going to say, if you really want to age well and keep your brain
we're going to have to take up mahjong.
Yeah, I mean, even or constantly challenge yourself to different things. You can't like maybe do mahjong, but have new hobbies like
this podcast
pickleball.
Is a challenge for me, believe me. Between the Instagram, figuring out how to grow the podcast, I feel like it's like a hobby career challenge all in one.
That's great for you.
Yeah.
That's why it's great that you're doing this though now, right? Because now, like you said, you're having a new season.
Yep.
It's the evolution of who you are. I love that. And I think that, and I was saying this to you earlier, I love the fact that you have a platform and a place where women who feel the way you feel have like they have an outlet that they can go to, because at the end of the day, none of us want to feel like we're in it alone.
100%.
Right?
And I think that that's part of the success of my platform is people are like, wait, me too.
Yeah.
Wait, oh my God, I'm not the only one with my vagina falling down.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things.
So many.
Or like, oh my God, I'm so bored. What the fuck am I going to do now? Like my kids are out of the house and college, whatever. And like, I have all this time on my hands. It's hard.
I think it's really hard. And I think what you provide in that way is that me too, it's not just me. And what I provide is it's not too late. You still can do it, even if you have a vagina that's falling.
Yeah, but you're the habits expert. I could work on a few of my habits a little bit better.
But it's about building in creating a ritual where it can even optimize wherever you are right now, 2%, 1%. Because it's not a game of like, can I get from 0 to 60? It's if we do these little small things and we try and actually do them, we will become
But so many
better.
of us try 1 time, 2 times, just like
that
you
is
said.
my point.
And then using your mindset tool that you talk about in the TED Talk and in the book,
the 10% target.
The 10%. Tell us about that.
Well, no, the 10% target is that mindset tool that I created when I was very young, and I use it to this day when it comes to anything.
Do you bug your
and
kids
everything.
with it too?
Well, my kids know about it because I'll tell you, because when that talk went viral, I was doing so many interviews about it, and people were contacting me from anything, from like sales training, from companies who are for sales training, women and men who were in their midlife and they didn't know what the next step was. I had college students reaching out to me because what did they take at school? So I was actually ending up talking to a lot of colleges and in companies, because it's a very simple, it's actually so simple, stupid concept that it's about the 10% target is this concept of making 10 attempts at whatever you want most in life. And that could be anything from a relationship to a business situation. It could be anything. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, is that most of us don't even make that 1 attempt. Hardly anybody makes 2. So if you talk about structure, know that you will have to make 10 attempts at whatever that thing is. Either you're going to get to that goal, or some other opportunity will present itself that you never even knew existed by just going down the path. And that has been tried and true for me time and time again since I was 17 years old. And I've used that in every business I've ever started and any relationship. I never go into something thinking I can't do it, because I'm like, have I made my first attempt? Have I made 5 attempts? If the answer is no, then I have work to do. So at the end of the day, I only have myself to blame if things never worked out for me, because that's how I've used that as a reframe to be and have any success. And I'm not saying I'm the most successful thing in the world, but I promise you, and I know for myself.
It's even progress. It's not about being knock it out of the park.
It's like, I'm better off now.
Yeah, I walked twice this week. I moved my ass off the couch, whatever it is.
At the end of the day, I know by me using that concept and that philosophy, I'm better off now than I would have been if I didn't use that philosophy. That's the point.
I think it's also interesting because there's so much manifestation talk and so many experts on how to manifest the life of your dreams and all this stuff. But I think what's interesting about yours is, yes, there's a place for manifestation and writing down your goals and vision boards and all this stuff, but there's also a place where you have to take necessary steps. It's not like there's a magic wand, oh my God, I wish for this spouse or I wish for this job, and it's just gonna come out of nowhere. Yeah, you can have the idea, but you gotta do the fucking steps.
You gotta do the work. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing will replace old-fashioned hard work. I don't care how many manifestation coaches are out there telling you otherwise. I don't care how many vision boards you put up there and how much you envision this and you do that and you script that. The truth of the matter is, anybody I know who's had any success or anything, they've had to do the hard work, and they did, I'm going to say the word, chase what they wanted. Now, I can get backlash for that. I'll have a lot of people who contact me and they'll be like, you're trying too hard. You shouldn't be chasing. If you sit there, it will. If you're open to the universe having your back and helping you out, it will come to you. Maybe you're trying too hard. Like, I don't resonate with that messaging. I don't want my kids to resonate with that messaging. I don't resonate with that messaging. And quite frankly, if you're somebody who says that to me, you're just not my people. You're not my tribe. I cannot look at you and take you seriously if you really believe that you're going to be a complete success in your relationship. Let's just use the relationship. If you sit back and just hope for a wonderful relationship, you know, I want me and my husband to have this romantic love where we like do romantic dinners and love each other. And we have this and this, but not do anything to make that happen.
Right.
Right? Like, you would have to plan it and organize it and make it happen.
Like they say, which some of it makes sense, of be the person you want your spouse to be. So if you want your spouse to be affectionate, you need to be affectionate. If you want your spouse to cook sometimes, maybe you cook sometimes. I think that there's a place for the universe in terms of the co-creation part of it. Well, where we all intermingle.
Well, you hear what you just said, though, right? Like, if you want someone else to, I guess, show up and do what you want them to do, you personally have to take action.
Show up.
You have to participate in that thing. You have
to
do work. You have to take action. You have to, like,
meet halfway.
Right. You can't just sit there and be like, well, I visualize it and look over here. It's on my vision board. So when's it going to happen?
Yeah, the dumb weights are on my vision board.
Right, the dumb weights. But you're doing the dumb weights, honey. And so that's what it is. You don't have to be lifting, you do a 150-pound deadlift to be doing a
and with back to the workout thing again, like I have some friends who say, oh my God, I could never work out at home. That's so boring, blah, blah, blah. I love being, like my daughter, she loves Pilates in a class.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I like Pilates quiet with an instructor by myself, no music playing. It's the way I kind of meditate. But again, it's like finding what works for you. I can tell you whatever I want to tell you, but if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't matter. And that's why, like, even on my Instagram, I just show people what's working for me. I'm not saying you should be doing this or you should be doing that, but like the dumb weights are necessary in some capacity, shape, way, or form.
Absolutely.
So figure out your version of the dumb weights, whatever that is. I don't care if you're pulling, groceries down the street or you're going to the gym.
And also, even like pulling laundry detergent up and down, and like, I don't care what it is, but find a form of what that thing is.
Exactly.
Because you gotta just be open.
Be open to the universe.
Be open-minded and open to the universe. It's true though, right? Like that is the point. And I think that, like, we are, again, fooling ourselves, or we're making excuses for either being lazy, not always, but I'm saying that's an excuse for being lazy, or for something not working, whatever. Like, if you're not somebody who actually tried, then you can't say, woe is me. Don't be a victim if you haven't even tried.
I do love your phrase about the rejection versus regret.
Yeah, it's the 100%. I mean, I live, but I literally live by this.
Tell us about it.
So another one of my, one of these things I stand by and live by is this idea of rejection is always better than regret. Because anytime I haven't done something and then I look back, I don't want to ever think to myself, well, what if I tried? What if I did that thing? What if I made that phone call? What if I asked that guy? What if I went out for attempted for that job interview? Whatever that thing is. So I would always rather try and know that at least I put myself out there than to think for my rest of my life, like, what if? That what if is torture. So there's a bunch of these life, like
little mantras.
Yeah, life mantras or principles, I would say, that I really live by. Rejection is always greater than regret is really up there. Naivety is a strength, is a big one too, because the less you know,
what you don't know can't hurt you.
Right. The more you're apt to do it. We get very jaded as we get older, and we think, well, we've never done it before, so therefore we can't do it. Or, that's not for me because I know when this person tried and this, and this happened. So naivety, if you haven't done something, even better, go for it. Mediocrity is a superpower as well. Like, I feel because when I grew up, I didn't find myself to be extraordinary or special in any way. So because of that, I didn't have much to lose trying this or trying that. So I had to also learn to be resourceful because I wasn't the most wonderful student. So I had to find people and things to help me pass math, right? Or I didn't find myself to be the prettiest girl. So then I had to work on my sense of humor, my personality, whatever that thing is, right?
It's like basic life resilience.
It's basically teaching yourself how to be resourceful and figure shit out better and quicker because you weren't handed everything. And so to me, mediocrity was always a big, what I try to give people, what in my podcast or in the books or in the TED Talk or whatever, in my speaking or whatever, is I really try to make people realize that they should never count themselves out before trying. And all these things that they think they can't do, they probably can. There's a big thing about transferable skills, right? You may have not done that exact thing, but I can guarantee somewhere in your life before that thing, you did something that you can transfer. That skill is transferable somewhere else. Maybe you've never sold, condominiums, but you sold a widget when you were in grade 9. So you have a basic sales skill. My point is, if you really dig deep and figure out who you are and what you're good at, we all have things that we're better at than others. Lean into your strengths, lean into the things that you are better at, because those things can help you with the other things.
I also like how you talk about leaning into resistance too. And I agree with you because the things that you have the most resistance to tend to be the things that need to get done.
Yeah.
Or that 100%. You really want to get done. And so it's if everything is oh, I can't do that. I can't do the dumb weights, or I can't start the podcast or write the book. It probably means you should be doing that in some capacity.
Absolutely. And then also give yourself these things if you are starting something and you're not bold, try doing a little bold move a day. It doesn't have to be extraordinary or huge, but just doing something that, again, to show you that you can build on that bold by just little things. Something as going to the restaurant, right? And asking for vegetables on the side or sauce on the side, or if your food was cold,
I'm okay with being high maintenance.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I know, I have no problem with it. My kids are shut up.
But then that's great. But there's also different types of being bold. You may be really bold in that way, but then be kind of more
100%.
demure and not feel comfortable and shy.
If you put me in a math class, I'd be
right, you wouldn't ask for help.
I wouldn't ask for anything.
Right.
I'd be okay, now I need to find a tutor.
Right. Well, that's good. That means you're actually doing
Yes, resourceful.
You're being resourceful.
Solve the problem.
And you're figuring out a way from you to get from point A to point B and to get better at something. Again, it's about getting better. It's not about becoming perfect. This is not about living a perfect life, but it's about living a fulfilling life that you've actually created and designed for yourself.
Wait till you have kids applying to college. That's a real...
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Because it's actually a really interesting journey because, you're teaching your kids that just because you're good at this and you're good at that and you're good at this doesn't mean you're always going to get what you want, or you're going to get into that college, or you're going to have that outcome, and you have this plan and then the plan changes, and is there a better option for you, and all of this. So it's been kind of an interesting journey, and now I get to do it again with my second kid.
That's the thing, right? Like, we all have our own things, like whatever like that is, like for you it's going to be different than it is for me. But I think that if you have like, you kind of have a foundation and like a toolbox that you can use to help you with whatever that thing is. Like, I can't even imagine that. Like, it's,
I know, but I think my kids have been pretty good about it because, like you said, I have forced them in the nicest possible way to like get shit done for themselves. So like, I don't schedule doctor's appointments. I'm not in charge of my kids' calendars. They have a phone, they have a credit card, they're approved. The doctors know that they're approved. So my daughter can pick up the phone, she's 17, and schedule a dermatologist appointment.
Right.
Why do I have to be the intermediary between her schedule and their schedule? Like, she has the skills to do that. So
you gave her, the onus is on her to take responsibility. At what age, though, did she start doing that?
I'd say like 15, 16, like around the time she started driving. Because I'm like, you have a driver's license. Like, I don't need to be part of this 3 o'clock on Tuesday works.
Good for you.
And my son the same, like he's at college and I don't even have to think about that. It's like, he has a credit card, he knows how to get his shit done, and he's going to solve it. And it's always going to be within reason. And I think my parents raised my brother and myself like that too, because my mom was working. She wasn't like kowtowing to every single need of mine.
So it made you have to be independent.
More independent.
And resourceful, which, by the way, I think is such a positive life skill to have. It also teaches you how to be grittier. Because to me, I think grit is probably the #1 life skill that really helps anybody to be unstoppable, right? Like, it teaches you, it's like, the more gritty you are, the more you fall, the more you're going to get up.
Do hard shit in our lives. Like, going back to the idea of my mom, like my mom having worked and me seeing that, I sort of always felt like, oh, it's kind of hard for me that like my kids never really saw me like in my career or working. So I think that because I started this podcast a few years ago and they've been able to see it grow from where it was to where it is now, and like all the phone calls and the texts and like the tears, like all of it, and they've seen that whole journey, they're like, oh wow, like my mom is like passionate about something other than us.
Right, exactly.
And she's good at stuff. And she's working hard, and things don't always go her way, and she solves it, and like a guest cancels or this changes or that, and like she just has to deal with it.
Yeah. See, I agree with that 100%. Like, that's what I've at least told myself that. I think it's really important for children to see that. I really do. And like you said, solving, basically being problem solvers.
Being bold. Getting your shit done. It's not always easy.
Yeah, and navigating and figuring things out is I think a great thing to role model.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask you if you had, we've talked about so many things and we have so many more things to talk about. So I'm so glad we're best friends now because we have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what's your biggest piece of advice for midlife women who are like, what the fuck now? Should I be doing next? What does the next sort of runway, second half of life look like for me, and how am I going to do this?
I would always tell people to pick one thing different, or that they have not done, that has always been in the back of their mind, because we all have those things that are in the back of our mind that we never really tried for or attempted at. Pick one. It can be super small, and make 10 attempts at going for it. 10 attempts. And it's not 2 attempts. It's not 4 attempts. It's 10. And chances are you'll probably get to that thing before 10.
But they have to be real attempts. It's not just like,
It has to be real attempts. It has to be phone calls, emails, like an event, like a social event that they otherwise wouldn't do. An exercise that they wouldn't do. Like, I think at midlife, what's really great usually is that sometimes you start to think about like well, how much life is left, right? And what we haven't done. And if we don't schedule things to happen, what happens is we end up not doing them. So kind of like create like a calendar for yourself and be like, by next year at this time, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do that. And then like reverse engineer and make it happen, and making these 10 attempts. Like, I believe that we all know those things. Again, it could be like
knowing them and doing them.
Right. Taking piano. It could be something as like, even like something as a hobby. Like, I always wanted to dance. Then sign up for a dance class and take 10 dance classes. It could be that. It could be like, you know what? I've always wanted to be a therapist or a psychologist. I've seen this before. Someone actually, this is a real one. And they were a marketing executive, and they always loved the human brain, but they never really now they thought it was too late. Well, they signed up for courses, started taking courses at night. And by the way, guess what? The woman's a therapist now at 53. So nothing is impossible if you actually make attempts at making that thing that you thought was impossible possible.
Yeah, the no giving up thing.
No excuses.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know, don't self-reject. You know, think these are the three things. Rejection is always better than regret. Why not me? And what's the worst thing that can happen? If you ask yourself those questions and then answer them, you will go and make that life of yours that much better by tomorrow, the next day, the following week.
And no one's coming to rescue you.
Nobody's ever coming to rescue. No one's going to do the hard work for you. No one's going to do the heavy lifting.
No.
Ever. By the way, I've tried to think that, I thought I found the Messiah to help me with so many different things. And the reality is it never came. It never did. And therefore, what am I going to let someone else kind of create my own or choose my destiny? I don't want to put that
self-responsibility.
Right. Don't put that in someone else's hands.
It's a tough lesson.
It's a tough lesson. But if you want your life to look a certain way, you need to create it. You need to design it. You need to curate it. It's not, or what will happen is life will happen to you, not for you.
My God, I love this. Habits and Hustle, Jen Cohen.
And my book.
And her book. Love you. Where can we find you?
You can find me on the Habits and Hustle podcast. You can find me at my Instagram or my social media. TikTok is The Real Jen Cohen. YouTube is Habits and Hustle. And you can, at my website, sign up for my free newsletter, jennifercohen.com.
Oh, I'm not on that. I'm going to sign up for that.
Sign up for that.
God, yay.
jennifercohen.com. There you go.
All right. I want to thank everyone for hanging with us today. Of course, we have so much more to cover. We'll have to do that behind the scenes on YouTube. I want to thank Jen Cohen. Thank you guys for being here. And now you know where to find her.
Thank you.